Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, so first up we have Kurt to present on the County of Maui and some of its Safe Routes to Schools programs and projects. Kurt, you ready?
Sure. Uh, Let me share my screen real fast.
Great.
You guys see it?
Nice. Yeah, we can. Wonderful. Thank you.
You're gonna say something?
No. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Good morning. My name is Kurt Watanabe with the Maui County's Department of Public Works Engineering Division Traffic Section. I am the Safe Routes Coordinator for the county. So just real quick, kind of wanted to
Oh, we lost you. You hit mute, Kurt. Sorry. I'm not sure what happened.
there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank
Got
you.
it. All right. Sorry. So we have done there's like 4 federally funded safe routes projects. Kind of the first 2 were done in 2014, and then the last 2 were done in 2019 timeframe. Oh, I keep muting myself. Sorry. Okay. The first one was Kamali'i Elementary School in Kihei. That was initiated by the Keonikai Neighborhood Association. Pretty much this one guy, Rich, who lived a few blocks away from the school, would walk his daughter, and I guess he heard of the program back, kind of a while before anything got built. And so yeah, we ended up taking this and running with it. And so yeah, we wanted to connect that Keonikai neighborhood out to the Kamali'i Elementary School. So the first thing we did was install a mid-block crosswalk and put some RRFBs there. And then we built a path, built some sidewalks on Keonikai. And this, oh, sorry, this is Kanakanui Road. Here's some before and after pictures. This was at grade because we didn't want to deal with some drainage issues, or we would have drainage issues if we put some curb and gutter. We also put up some radar speed radar feedback signs on 3 approaches to the school: Kanakanui, Auhana, and Alanui Keali'i. So that was one of the first projects done. And then kind of concurrently, there was this Princess Nahiana Ena school in Lahaina. At the time, they were building the Lahaina bypass. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that project, but when they were building it, they had to, I guess, displace some homes. So they built a new subdivision on the south side there, and the state, I think, was paying for like daily traffic control to help with all the traffic area and help kids cross and stuff like that. And this is at Kuialua, just below Lahainaluna High School. And there's like 3 schools up there. There's Lahainaluna High, Lahaina Intermediate, and Princess Nahiana Ena. But this one was, the elementary school was the one that applied. Oops, sorry. We put in more RFPs here, some islands, and then improve the pedestrian path all the way to the school by building ramps at corners. So pretty simple. And then we would host every so often. The state, along with some counties, would put on Safe Routes to School workshops at the different islands. And there was one, I forget where we hosted it. I think it was the first one we did. And somebody from Paia School was there and was interested. And so we went through the whole process of, doing the Safe Routes to School plan with the school. And as part of that, we identified two, I guess, the existing sidewalk needed to be rebuilt, and there wasn't really any sidewalk fronting the school itself. And they had just built a new cafeteria. And so we applied for the federal grant, and we got it in 2013. But due to the limitations, had to get creative because of the cost of the two projects, or to build all that sidewalk. We ended up splitting it into two separate projects, a sidewalk improvements and a frontage improvements project. And so as you can see, this was before there was this really narrow and kind of beat up sidewalk that went from the school down to the gym. Real overgrown, uprooted from the trees and stuff. And they would actually use this as like an evacuation route when they would have fire drills. So this was the sidewalk improvements one. And so we ended up building, clearing it, putting in a wider sidewalk, all the way down to the gym, which is about a quarter mile or so away. And then, like I said, they built a new cafeteria on the Mauka side of the campus. And so we wanted to extend that sidewalk all the way up to the cafeteria. So when kids would walk in the morning, they could just continue on up to the cafeteria. So this is the new sidewalk in front of the school. There are also a few components. There was a residential area just south of Mackay of the gym. And so we extended the sidewalk all the way down to that residences. And when we were doing our site visit, we noticed that there were kids that would cut through the field by the gym to get to the houses. So we put in a nice walkway for them as well. And there were other projects kind of in the area, like a resurfacing project that we installed the RFBs and raised crosswalks in front of the school. So yeah, those are our 4 federally funded Safe Routes projects. And we also have that special fund. I think we used to get about like 90,000 or so a year. And so here's kind of what we've spent that money on. Pretty much 4 things: feedback monitors, delineators, sidewalk projects, and RFBs. So feedback monitors, these are just a few. There was one on Lihikai School in Kahului. We just replaced them with new ones. This is at Iao School, kind of right below the county building on Kauhu Street. And this is our county base yard over there on the right. We had a resurfacing project come through, and there's a lot of foot traffic with the intermediate school kids that walk down and then kind of make the corner. So with that resurfacing project, we narrowed the lanes and we kind of built a buffered pedestrian walkway. But we still felt, we could provide the kids a little bit more protection. So we put in these plastic curbs and delineators to provide a little bit more visual separation for the kids. We also got some more feedback monitors in Kahului. We did kind of a bigger bulk order. And here are some of the schools we installed them at: St. Anthony, Kihei, Kahului, Lokelani, Pomaikai, all kind of the island, on the island, not on. We haven't gone to other islands yet with these. We also had a sidewalk project in Haiku. We helped use the money to fund sidewalk, since our construction funds were limited. We also put in a new sidewalk. We try to incorporate, these improvements with resurfacing projects too. This was one. We have our, I guess, our annual resurfacing projects on Lanai, and so there's this road on 6th Street that runs up from Fraser Avenue to Lanai Avenue. So we incorporated a sidewalk in the design, and so then when it came for funding, we used the Safe Routes money for the sidewalk. We also were installing rectangular rapid flashing beacons. The ones that you saw at Kamali'i, Nahiana, and Paia schools, the federal projects. We also used it and did bulk orders, so we could start putting up around at various schools. And I know the state has done that too on Maui, on the highways as well, in front of the schools at their crossings. So we're following suit, and we have a bunch ordered that should be arriving any time, and we hope to get them all installed by this summer. We used to do these walk to school days. Some of the kids in here probably graduated from high school. My son's graduating this year. So this was a while ago, and we all had black hair. So we did a few of those. The first ones was at Wailuku L, partnered with the YMCA, NPAC, the Nutritional and Physical Activity Coalition. Got some council members. The mayor walked with us. Yeah, it was pretty neat. We got the kids got goodie bags at the end that they funded. We even got you can see the guy on the far right picture there. We had the TV camera. They made I don't know if they made a video or whatever, but yeah, they were documenting it too. So that was the first one. The second one was Kamali'i. It was almost to showcase the completion of that federal project. So we have them using the sidewalks, and yeah, that was with the same kind of partnership as well. And then the last one was Pomaikai in Kahului. That was when they had that Blue Zones project. They wanted to do some school activities, so we partnered with them, and yeah, it was a pretty good turnout, but I don't know if they ever continued it after that. It was mainly to get the kids walking. So yeah, and that's it for us.
Great. Are there any questions? Go ahead. Luke, looks like. We'll start with you.
Hey, Kurt, thanks for the presentation. Just curious if you know the per unit cost for the speed monitoring systems.
The speed monitoring systems, I want to say it came in at.
I think the old one, the current one, even though the legal descriptions changes.
I want to say it was about 8,000 per unit.
Okay. Yeah, just curiosity. Thanks.
All right. Yamato?
Hi, Kurt. Thanks for the presentation. It was great. I was wondering if you guys take any post-project data, and if you found if the driver feedback signs reduce speeds or if there's higher yielding rates at the crosswalks with the RFBs? What have you guys found there? Kawhi?
We haven't taken much data after. Yeah, we haven't really, but everybody seems to like it. Yeah, it's more the enforcement after the fact that really helps. But
Heidi?
Oh, hi, Kurt. Good to see you. I think my question was the same as Yamato's, really. I just was curious about the speed feedback signs and if you had, collected any data or had evidence as to, do they change behavior or reduce speeds? Because I don't think I've seen any information on that. So just interested in the value of those. Thanks.
yeah, no, we haven't. So
Okay, thanks.
Kurt, did you install the solar RFBs too? Did I read that properly? I couldn't remember. I couldn't tell
Yeah.
if it was just the speed ones or the RFBs. Okay. How much are those
No.
costing you guys?
The solar RFBs were, I want to say, close to about 8,000 too.
Oh,
We
really?
got-
But that's just for them, right? It's not for the installation too?
No, our crews do it. They found they're able to figure out how to install those pretty quick. So
Okay. No, that's good to know because I know Honolulu just put some in and they were coming in higher than what they wanted. So it might be a good thing to
yeah.
coordinate. So, and then with did any other schools do Safe Routes to Schools plans? Or generally that's just not, okay. And then
No,
how was
it was
that?
it was kind of
Yeah.
hard.
Okay. And how was that one funded?
The plan
Yeah.
or
Did they just do it on
Oh,
their
that was-
own or was there like some sort of
Yeah.
planning funding?
No, there was no funding for that.
Okay.
We just did it. We helped them with it.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I just didn't mention that because that's something that came up in like our scorecarding, right? Is that we don't do a lot of the sort of planning mini grant situations. So I was just curious. So thanks.
Yeah.
Uh,
No,
uh,
for us, sorry.
No.
At
Answer,
the
please.
time, there was a lot of change, I think, going on with administration at the different schools, and so a lot of them were still kind of getting, settled in, like the principals and all that stuff. So as far as taking on something in addition, and also some of the, I guess their attitudes were, this is all outside of my campus. They're worried about what happens on their campus and not really anything else beyond it. I know it's a kind of sad, but that was the feedback we would get sometimes too. So yeah, it was just, we found it hard, especially on Maui, to do stuff, and even some of the schools, the ones that might have been interested were also on like state highways and stuff too. So, and I know Robin and the DOT has done a bunch of work on, to help those schools as well. So.
Oh, great. No, that's really good feedback. James, you have a question?
Yes, Kurt, hi, my name is James Burke. I was just kind of wondering about some of the maintenance issues you may or may not be having with both the feedback monitors and the pedestrian delineators. I mean, how's it going? Anybody steal
So
your solar panels yet?
Not for the school ones. I think we've had one or two get knocked down and then somebody stole it, but no, for the most part they were fine. I think one of the ones we installed at Kamali'i, it was hard to find the place for it, so I think it wasn't getting as much sunlight as we had hoped. So, I think we ended up moving it. We shifted the location slightly, but yeah, for the most part they seem to be all working.
That's great. It's good
Well.
news. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions?
Katie,
I
I
have a
think
question.
Michael Mole has
Michael
had
wants
his hand up for quite
Yeah,
some
I must be
time.
on Katie's second screen because she keeps ignoring
No,
me.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear. No, I didn't see. It's not showing up at all on my system. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
really?
Michael.
That's
Go
weird.
ahead. Yeah.
Anyway, it's fine. It's actually good that I was last because Heidi and Yamato and Luke and James actually asked questions that I was going to ask, so I only have one or two left. So and actually I have a response to James's statement. We have a lot of solar RFBs as well, and we did have one knocked down recently, and the homeless people nearby ran off with the panel, solar panel, but and the whole sign. They took the whole thing actually, but Bryce and the head of our roads division maintenance, he went out and grabbed it and brought it back, and they reinstalled it. He's kind of a big guy if anybody's met Bryson before, but he went and got that and got it back. But yeah, it does happen. We've had a lot of success with the solar RFBs here on Kauai, so I mean I can talk more about that later. But my questions, the tough curb example, with the how is that holding up? I think you said 2016 was the installation on that. Is that holding up pretty well? Because we're trying to do a lot of striped pedestrian walkways. We haven't done it with tough curb and the delineators yet. Well, we have actually. Sorry, but we're looking at doing a few soon actually, and wondering how that's holding up.
those are holding up okay.
Okay.
We had to make some concessions because of the location to the base yard and their access gates. And then there's like a gym across the street, and when it gets busy, then they start parking, but
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it gets run over. So the ones I think at the corners are probably the ones that get hit the most.
Yep.
And just because people aren't paying attention, but
Yeah, we've got a few places where we're going to be striping out pedestrian walkways in the next year or two, and haven't really talked too much about whether we're going to try to do more than a stripe. But probably a good idea if we can.
We use that XLP model. We've done both. I think the regular tough curb and then this XLP is the one that's
Got the gap between it. Is that the
yeah,
difference?
they're not they don't have to join. They're kind of
Yeah,
individual.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like that better in a way. For this
Yeah.
application. Other questions. You mentioned the sidewalks you're building like along with your resurfacing jobs. I know Maui, unlike Kauai, does a lot of resurfacing, I think, with in-house staff. Is that right? Yeah. So we don't do that at all. Are you able to get the concrete sidewalks done with in-house staff as well, or is that being contracted out?
We contract the design out.
Design, and how about in the construction as well?
The construction it's included in the construction part of it, like in the resurfacing. So I don't.
But is that done by county staff or by consultants, or do you know, or by contractors?
That's like contractor. Yeah, the
It's
contractor.
contract. Okay, so those are not in-house. The concrete sidewalks. Okay. Yeah, we're trying to see our crews have done a little bit of concrete work, and we're trying to see, it's way cheaper obviously if we do it in-house and contract it out.
Same here.
And we're trying to build those skills, and it's kind of wondering how other islands are doing that, other counties are doing that. But thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of the same. I mean, they could spend a whole bunch of time. Our highways crews are so busy, so just to find the time to put in extra sidewalks. So whatever stuff we ask them is, it's real like, hey, can you guys just fix a couple of panels here and there? Not a whole stretch. But I want to say though, the Lanai guys, they've actually done a couple sidewalks for me. But there was one, and like a whole block, and they, I was like, you guys sure you guys want to do this? And they're like, oh yeah, they don't mind the change in scenery because I guess they're tired of mowing grass and fixing potholes, so they decided to take on a sidewalk. So every time after that, yeah, you guys want to try it again? And yeah, maybe not. But yeah, they welcomed it that first time. So
For both Kurt and Michael, have you guys looked at like more like more than delineators for some of these? Because like, right, like, you know, Kurt, you sort of said like people aren't paying attention, but you know, that's where people are and kids are walking. So you kind of want them to, and maybe have a stronger barrier than just delineators. Have you guys looked into anything more substantial? Or is
You mean
it
like
too
some
hard
sort
to
of
fit it in the buffer?
like some sort of extruded concrete curb or something, or asphalt curb?
Sure.
Or
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
really, I'm just sort of saying like anything, right? Because like you take that to like the full understanding though, is that that means that like they're invading the space where kids might be walking. And do we want more than just plastic protecting kids? And I'm sort of curious if anybody's been looking at more stuff or, and I know it's challenging. I'm not like knocking it. I just am curious.
I mean, I'll just answer. We you know, our default is always to try to build, you know, concrete curb and gutter and or just a curb and the sidewalk, traditional
Yeah.
concrete sidewalk if we can. But there's places where the drainage wise it just doesn't work, right? And then the next best would be like what Kurt showed, the at-grade sidewalk set back from the road a little bit with gap. It's challenging though, because drainage is still challenging with that. You don't have a very wide swale in these cases. You don't get much. I mean, some of those examples you showed, Kurt, didn't seem like there was much swale at all. And so it's like, you know, water is going to be somewhere when it rains, right? And it's either going to be on the pavement of the road, it's going to be on the sidewalk itself, or it's going to be in a swale if you can have enough room for one. But it's challenging. And the sort of the last option for us is where we just, for drainage reasons or other reasons, there's just no way to have any separation. We have one project where we're doing that in Hanapepe with, well, we're going to put the sidewalk area in concrete. This one's just going to NTP now. It's a federal aid project. And in that case, much of the parking is perpendicular actually, which isn't odd for here or anywhere really. But we're going to have like parking buffers, like the typical parking bumper type scenario, to keep cars from parking on the sidewalk. And the parallel spaces, I'm not sure what we have in between the parallel parking spaces and the sidewalk in that case. But most of the others are just asphalt, where we have a paving job, and we're taking the opportunity to say, oh, we got more pavement than we need here for 2 lanes of cars, and let's extend. In one case in Cloatown, there was a sidewalk built along with the development. People were just walking along the road just beyond that development, in this wide asphalt. Kind of sometimes cars park right next to the curb that's there, right next to a building, like literally right next to the building, and people have to walk outside the cars, in between the cars parked in the travel lane. There's lots of width there, so it's not too bad, but sometimes they walk inside depending where the parked cars go. So we're just going to try to allocate that and say, cars, park out here, and let's mark this lane inside. And we haven't really talked too much yet. We haven't got that far along on how we're going to delineate that. That's why I was asking Kurt about the post. But in that case, I don't think we would go with something like concrete or asphalt for a curb. I think we would just use either just flex posts or the flex posts with the little tough curb, like what Kurt showed in that example.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the tough curb is not really to protect the kids. It's just to give more like a visual buffer.
Yeah.
You know, to help with that separation.
And to keep them from parking, right? Like
Yeah,
that's the challenge I think we have in a lot of
sometimes.
cases. Like people, and yeah, we can pull over those things and just drive over them or whatever and park. But like that's a lot of it, just to provide that actual separation. If it's just a line, people will just tend to park there, right? That's what I'm concerned about in our case.
All right. It looks like we have one more. Justin?
Yes, I have 2 questions for Kurt. It's great to see you again. My first question being just a clarification. The DOH is exploring potential quick build demonstration projects on Lanai Island, specifically around Lanai City, with collaboration with the Lanai Community Health Center. We wanted to clarify, would you or anyone from DOT have recommendations on where we can identify which roads are under jurisdiction of either the county or state, or if they are under the jurisdiction of Larry Ellison's Lanai Corporation?
For most roads in Lanai City, I think are under county. The highway that goes out to the airport, and I don't know if Manele, the harbor and stuff, that's might be under state. But I think for us, anything in the town. There's a couple of private roads, but for the most part, all the main roads are ours.
I see. Thank you. My additional question is under our REACH, CDC REACH grant, we are exploring with Hi-Fi and community partners a quick build demonstration project in Kahului. I know there's one going on right now in Kihei, but we are probably going to look at initiating that project later this year, calendar year, or early next year. But because we wanted to align a quick build project with having longevity on a road that's ideally been recently repaved, would you happen to know if there's public information available on where we can see what our upcoming roads, what roadways that will be repaved or aligned for road rehabilitation?
Yeah, you can just email me, and then I can get you a list.
I appreciate that. I'll send you a short email this afternoon. That's
Okay.
all. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All
Thanks,
right.
David.
Yeah, that's it. It looks like. Kurt, you are done. Thank you so much. I know we had to reschedule, so I appreciate you joining us a little bit later. I think we had this one planned for like October originally, but I'm glad we got to it. So great. Thank you so much and such good information. So, all right. So let's keep on going on. So I think if you happen to look at the agenda, we have kind of a few things, nothing too crazy, hopefully, but let me share my screen. So I can send, let's see, so just so, sure. Okay. All right, can you guys see it? Does that work? I don't know why it's blurry. Is it blurry for other folks? Like a little fuzzy? Okay.
It was, but now it's fine.
Okay, great. So, all right. This is just so I remember to hit everything. So next month we have the National Center from Safe Routes to Schools. This is out of the University of North Carolina. This one was rescheduled from January. Nancy's going to talk to us about what some of the other programs look like and, things to keep in mind as we continue down this process. I don't have anything scheduled for May right now, mostly because I just can't think that far in advance. So I'm certainly open to additional suggestions. Ideally, if you have contacts, that's really kind of the big one. To make some of this job a little bit easier. So, James, you want to give the quick update? James graciously volunteered to keep track of these for me. So
She twisted my arm, just to let you know. So it's actually relatively easy. On the first one there is House Bill 300, Senate Bill 473. It's the budget. It doesn't get passed until the end. So and it's going to be passed, and who knows what's in it. It's got a lot of stuff. And if you are in the various agencies, the DOTs and the DOHs, you probably know exactly what's going on. House Bill.
Oh, sorry, James, just to quickly clarify. So I believe it's still in there last I checked, but that gives us the budget authority for the next fiscal year for the remaining monies in the Safe Routes to School special. I'm sorry, it gives HDOT that authority to spend more. But I didn't check it recently, but that's one of the reasons why that one's important. So.
No, I know why it's important. It's just that the letters are very, very small, so I couldn't find that exact statement.
Sure.
Okay, and so next on House Bill 1231, which is exactly the same thing as Senate Bill 1664. They're companion bills, where they're exactly the same. It's actually passed second reading it crossed over, so it is to establish a special fund for fines collected for speeding in a school zone, including red light imaging detector systems installed at school zones. The important thing about this bill, other than that, for us, is that it authorizes the Safe Routes to School Advisory Committee to recommend 25 dangerous school zones for automated speed enforcement systems. And so that's what's important about that bill. It's on its way. It's at the Ways and Means and the JDC. I don't know what that means, but it's on its way. The second,
I think it also has some additional funding for the special fund, yeah?
that's correct. It has additional funding for the special fund, but they're actually moving funding around. So yes, it does have additional funding. House Bill 1471 is, for all intents, not alive. Senate Bill 864 and House Bill 683 establishes and appropriates funds for student transportation coordinator positions within the DOE to strengthen student transportation services across the state. It's in the Education and Ways and Means Committee, and obviously the Senate bill hasn't. House bill crossover, so it's in the Senate. They're still talking about it. Senate Bill 1124 is retail delivery safety fee. As you can see, it's been lined out. It doesn't look like it was transmitted to the House, and so for all intents, it's gone. Senate Bill 1196, same thing, rideshare fee. It has no activity since the referral to committee, so it's, for all intents and purposes, it's gone. And lastly, or not, second to last is the Senate Bill 1508. It's a clarification bill. Basically, this is the bill that the legislators have to fix all the errors that they found from last year and hopefully prevent errors this year. And so that's still going to be, that's usually one of those things that get passed at the end. Lastly, it's Senate Bill 1664, which is the same thing as House Bill 1231, and that's actually on its way. Yeah. House Bill 1231 is on its way. So, and that's it. I couldn't find anything else. I just basically did a basic search it said Safe Routes to School, and everything that had the word Safe Routes to School popped up, and these are the bills that popped up. Thank you.
No, thanks, James. Yeah, this matches the list I've had too. So, I did separately. So, I'm sure surprising no one that we're monitoring these as well at Ulupono. So, are there any questions for James? Okay. Okay, so since our last meeting, we've been trying to work on a bunch of things, including working with the HE to figure out how to move some of these things forward. And so we have a bunch of things that we're going to kind of click through today. So the first thing that was recommended is that we actually approve the final report to legislature that was submitted in December 2024 as our formal set of recommendations. If folks, it basically is that we did the vote in November on the draft pending finalization, but in order to make it sort of, all well zipped up and everything, it would be to adopt those. So if are there any questions or comments or concerns on this potential action? Okay, then I would love to entertain a motion in which the committee adopts the final report to legislature December 2024 as its formal set of recommendations with a second.
I motion to approve.
All right,
And
so
I
Jess.
I second.
Oh, there were a lot of seconds. Who's
Tommy Noyes seconded.
There we go. All right, Jess and Tommy. And then if there are no objections and abstentions, we can approve. Are there any objections and abstentions at this point in time?
No.
All right.
No.
So moved. We have now officially approved that report. Yay. Thanks. Oh, and then I guess the other thing is that we still will probably have to vote on subsequent specific, requests and stuff like that. But this at least makes it very clear for all the legal aspects of this. Okay, so the next one, the Safe Routes to Schools plan and sort of program. Unfortunately, none of the IDIQs are available. Either they don't have capacity or they're not appropriate for the work that we are interested in doing. So we are going to have to do a more traditional RFP process through the regular procurement. We do have a draft scope ready that we had worked on. And so I had thought to ask folks to chime in, but looking at the changes after HDOT's reviewed and the Deputy AG reviewed, we do have some things that in that draft scope that maybe are premature or outside the law's mandate. It needs a deliverable schedule, a scope a little bit of scope detail about the data collection and then evaluation criteria. And I think it would take me longer to explain what needs to get done to someone. So I think what I'd like to do is actually that I will finalize the scope with Hawaii DOT and then bring it to the committee vote for approval in April's meeting. And from that point, it then it gets turned over to HDOT to sort of run it through the procurement process. Are there any questions about that? So there's no action today for this. So, but stay tuned and hopefully in April. Yes, Yamato.
I can do this.
So who would actually execute the contract?
HDOT would execute it, but then we would probably need some folks from the committee, obviously, to be involved and approve sort of the work over time. But in order to move the procurement forward, it would be run through HDOT. That's my understanding. But Tara and Kevin, if I said anything improperly, and this holds true for anything going forward, please let me know and chime in. But we have to approve the scope as the committee in order for them to move forward. Yep, Heidi?
So just to clarify, this is going to be a separate procurement with each county? Is that
No,
what you're looking at doing?
This is a statewide program. So this covers things like developing evaluation metrics. Past conversations, we've talked about having a summit. It would be that. It would be to like do the data collection. So it covers a statewide stuff. So you guys will all get to see the scope in more detail. And if we can't approve it in April, like that's fine. We can certainly push it back and give people more time and we can edit it some more. But it's, I mean, there's nothing super, it's based on the law essentially. And then the recommendations we made in the report. And so it's not, you know, it's not the most complicated thing. So at the end of the day.
So any other procurements are separate. This is just the one bigger one for all of those things.
Yeah, for this sort of like the statewide program and plan situation that we are mandated to develop.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I think the big one is that like the administrative support has been sort of deemed to be like outside of this, that should maybe come from another space. And we had wanted sort of a technical assistance support, but given the reading of the law, that also is probably something that needs to come separately down the line. So those are just the two things like sort of substantively from our recommendations that differ, but from past conversations. So, okay. And again, everybody will have a chance to review this and we can certainly make edits in the next meeting. Yes, Yamato, go ahead.
Oh no, you answered my question, thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, so the Safe Routes to School sort of strong network of staff. So in talking through some of this is where some of the administrative stuff really needs to go, is potentially with an HDOT program manager position. Also prioritizing existing over future actions. And so given that we did want to do like 6 positions, but some are currently filled and funded and some aren't. But we are focusing on the fact that there are some lapsing funds for the city and county, and then starting the HDOT program manager, because there are actions in the law that are hard to do separately from someone in that position. And so for today, you know, the first action is that, so I guess, Yamato, do you want to give an update on your proposal to HDOT and then we can talk about it, or do you want me to just kind of summarize it real fast?
Oh, you can summarize it. That's fine.
Okay. So currently what's going on is, this is my understanding. So again, any clarifications is that for Yamato's position, which the funding expires at the end of June, is that they've submitted a proposal to Hawaii DOT, and Tara has been helpful in finding federal funding to fund that position going forward. So for right now, we have funding, you know, that's the plan. But if for some reason that doesn't go through, Yamato may come to the committee and request a funding request for us in April, either as bridge or gap funding during that time frame. So in order to keep that going. Tara, is that you? Sorry.
Yeah, so just a correction that
yeah,
we're working on it right now.
Yes.
I mean, it hasn't been decided that we're using federal funds, but we're looking into it.
Yes. Sorry, I did not mean to assume that. I meant that I think you'd receive the proposal. My apologies. So that's kind of the plan there. Are there questions with that? or other points from Yamato and Tara that we need to contribute? So I guess similarly, this one is also a stay tuned.
So just to provide more detail,
Yep.
our request to Tara is for 3 years of Safe Routes to School coordinator funding, in addition to national Safe Routes to School conference, one of them, and that's only the extent of our request.
Yeah. And I think, given that the law does emphasize existing, sort of investing in existing people and programs, that this seems appropriate if there's going to be an issue that, the committee can step in. But I think it's great that Tara and HDOT is figuring out this from federal funds, which is even better. So, and I think, we're just trying to work through that and figure it all out. And then, the last one, and I don't know that we have to take a vote on this, is that we are working to figure out how to do like an HDOT program manager position. Tara has a very specific scope with her job and the coordinator position, but there's a lot of other things in the law that kind of need to happen. And I think it's, would be helpful if there's someone who's like kind of building this program. So we are looking into that. We are trying to get some job descriptions from other states to see what that would look like potentially and how to move forward. So if there is action, it'll be coming at the April meeting at this point in time. And then we can certainly discuss other options for other places, but one at a time. Yeah, there's only so many that can get done. Any other? Yeah, Yamato, go ahead.
For the HDOT position, has there been discussions with HDOT as to whether they are interested in having a new position? Or is this something that the committee is proposing to them?
The committee, yeah. So, I mean, obviously the committee has recommended it. It's come up. And I have been working with Robin and Tara and the AG to figure this out. That's kind of what we're seeing. So I think the first question is like, well, what does that look like potentially? But I think one of the challenging things is there are certain things like technical assistance and the administrative stuff that were sort of deemed out of scope from the consultant's contract that someone like needs to do. And it's not clear that the counties can do it in the same way. And so I think that's trying to see if that can fill that gap, as well as like meet the overarching, support. But that's kind of my take on it. And if Robin or Kevin have any additional information, or Tara, that you'd like to provide this, feel free. I feel like I'm speaking for you and I don't want to do that, but I also don't want to leave like an empty space either.
Okay, like you mentioned, just want to understand what the scope and, job duties of this position would be, so we can figure out how to fund it and make sure, there's no overlap with what we're already doing.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So the next piece is that we've been talking about is that funding projects. So I think, again, just trying to figure out the ways that we as the committee can move things forward and how to do this. And so, not necessarily keeping all in the chair space either. And this is really the bigger one, I think, that most people are the most interested in doing. But one of the things that I mentioned earlier was that the WDAG flag that like we do need to prioritize current and existing work. And there's, a whole host of things that we are going to now do as a result of this. And we've also gotten an updated list of state projects to complement our county projects. And so I think, recognizing that some schools are on state roads, we definitely want to have those for evaluation for going forward. So we're going to be doing a few different things today. So one is we're going to try and set up a structure to how to evaluate this. Another one is to sort of vote on the pipeline list, which everybody got in their board packet. Add the existing projects to the evaluation criteria, and then frankly launch a process to move forward with this. So we only have a few more minutes left, so I'm hoping we can get through this. But this is a very tight table, but again, you guys have this information in the project pipeline. These are all the state projects. So these were developed by HDOT, I want to say like about 2 years ago during the legislative process, and a lot of them are still outstanding and require work. They have been vetted for whether or not they're within 1 mile of a school, and so they would be available. They would meet the baseline criteria for evaluation. So again, everybody got this. So, and what I did do with that document is I added these to the county. So we have like one document that says like, this is the current existing pipeline of Safe Routes to Schools projects that should be evaluated at some point. So are there questions about that? Because otherwise I'd like to just dive into each action. Apparently I did something funny with that. Okay. So the first thing that I would like to get a motion and a second and a vote on is that the committee recommends integrating the state project list into the full project list from the report to legislature, together referred to as the 2025 project pipeline list. And so basically this would be the project list that would be, at least when it came to physical projects as opposed to non-infrastructure, this would be the project list that the group that would move forward with funding would use to start with. Yamato.
Just to clarify, so this would then become a list that has county projects on it as well as state projects?
Yes. If you open up what was in the board document, I mean, I can move over, but then I have to like mess with my PowerPoint. If you open up with the materials that are in the board packet, there is one called the 2025 project pipeline list that has both the county and those state ones that I showed on the earlier screen. So this would be the list. And so those were pulled directly, the county projects were pulled from whatever was provided for the final report to legislature. And then the state list has been provided from HDOT as well, and then just screened to make sure that they were within 1 mile start or end from a school. So I think like 3 or 4 didn't qualify. Now, whether or not you call them all Safe Routes to Schools projects, I think is up for discussion. They just meet the basic threshold though. Are there other questions? Comments? Okay, can I entertain a motion to approve the 2025 proposed project pipeline list?
I motion to approve. This is Jess.
Thanks, Jess. Can I get a second?
This is James.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
All right, James is a second. Are there any abstentions or objections at this time? All right, so approved. Okay. Can I entertain a motion for an extra 5 minutes to get through all of this stuff from someone? We will be done at 11:05, I promise.
I'd like to send a motion to
Okay, yep.
that.
Yamato, Luke for the second, great. Okay, any objections or abstentions? Okay, I may not need all that full time, but I think I can do it. So the next one is that I'd like to do an action that we recommend adding one additional evaluation criterion, that priority be given to existing projects. So this would take the one that was in the final report that we had created that Yamato and Jessica kind of worked on, and we just add that to that as we move forward. So can I entertain a motion that we should add that evaluation criterion into our existing approach?
I'll motion. I'll put up
Okay.
the motion.
Cool. Can I get a second?
A second.
All right, Kurt for the second. Great. Yamato for the. Are there any objections or abstentions? Okay, so pass. Is it blurry again, or is it just me? Can you guys all see it? Okay.
It's blurry.
It's
It's
blurry.
blurry.
All right, I'm sorry about that. So, okay, I think it's better now, but okay, so this is a bigger effort than any one person can do, and frankly, we can probably do within the committee meetings. So I would like to propose and the committee recommends establishing a permitted interaction group under 92.2.5B to evaluate and make recommendations to the committee and HDOT for the Safe Routes to Schools funding. It will use the current project proposal evaluation form and criteria to work with project sponsors to submit projects for evaluation by the group, specifically for the available 5 million. At least one project from each county and state will be recommended from the 2025 project pipeline list. So what this means is that some members of the group will meet separately. There's a 3 meeting minimum. I think most folks are familiar with PIGs, as they're commonly referred to kind of work through this process a bit more. Because I think we do need to get some information from the project sponsors. It's not heavy, as everybody knows, because the form is pretty straightforward, but I think we need to turn that. This is really the mechanism that the committee can do work outside of the meetings. And I think this is the best mechanism to do so under the circumstances in order to approve funding for projects. That's also what I've been advised by the deputy AG. It said this is the right way to do it too. So with that in mind, I would like to entertain a motion that we establish the permitted interaction group with the caveats in that 3rd bullet. So to figure out how to do this using the evaluation form, which has been updated to include existing projects and the criterion to work through this process. Are there anybody to make the motion?
So moved.
Okay, a second. So Luke for the first.
James will
Sure.
second.
James for the second. Are there any objections or abstentions? All right, so we have now agreed to do a permitted interaction group. I do need some volunteers. So who would like to take this on and help support this effort? We need a few of you. So I'm going to be focusing on the staffing stuff and the scope. So I will not be very involved in this, but.
Yeah,
Is there a maximum number?
So it sounds like Jess and then Yamato? Or no, is that a question?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Can I appoint a designee?
For what part of it?
To sit on the PIG?
I don't know. Actually.
I was thinking Patty. Patty.
So I think the PIG, okay, and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong. The PIG is how we make it so that members can meet separately, but that doesn't preclude us from inviting other people. Is that correct? That's my understanding.
That's
okay.
Correct.
Okay. So you can be on it and Patty can be on it, but Patty can't be your replacement because she's not a board member.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Is there a maximum number of members that can be in this PIG? Like last time, I think we limited it to 2.
No, so I was mistaken in how we did that. So you should just strike that from your memory. But I believe that it has to be under half of quorum. So I think we can have 5, correct?
Correct.
Which I'd love to get 5 people on this because I do think it's valuable to go through this process.
I can't volunteer right now. I'm actually going to be leaving my current position and taking a new position in the chairperson's office starting April 1st. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be continuing as the designee on this one. I'll find out at that point.
Okay.
So
I'm happy to volunteer, but I don't know if I'm going to be here come July. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. Can we get a few more volunteers? It is like a 3 meeting, it is separate, but I do think we need to, this is kind of the way we have to move forward in order to get the information to make some recommendations. Ideally from folks that are maybe not at counties, since they are the majority of the recipients. So if you are at another organization, that would be ideal. Some of the other state agencies. Do I have the ability to?
Katie,
Yeah.
I am just wondering if, similar to what Jess was asking, I could have Justin sit in. Is Justin still here? Does he know I'm volunteering him? But I'm not sure that I could commit. But if that's okay, I think Justin would be willing to sit in.
Kevin, how does it work? Because Justin's her designee. Is that acceptable or no?
I mean, if you look at the plain language, it does say members of a board. So it doesn't say anything about permitting a designee. I think if both of them wanted to sit in, that would be okay.
Okay,
Okay.
it sounds like Justin could sit in either way, just not as necessarily a member.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, Katie, I'll do it, but I'm gonna be gone most of May. So,
Okay. I mean, this is kind of the mechanism we have, and I think, we need folks to just kind of sit down with it, to be honest, so we'll do our best. I mean, again, we can figure out any other last minute volunteers. All right, we will go with that for right now. So I guess I'm not sure the next steps after that. We only made it this far. So, but we will start moving that forward as well. And I think then we can finish up the last few things. Sorry.
Just so I'm clear, so it was formed and then we can start meeting now prior to the next committee meeting?
I believe so. Kevin?
I think you want to establish the scope of the PIG as well, exactly what their job is and any limitations.
Sorry, I thought we did that with the language in the bullet that they have to do I thought that was the scope, right? They have to incorporate the evaluation criteria and then reach out to project sponsors in order to get a set of projects that they can evaluate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. We will follow up though, because I don't know exactly how to. I think you can start meeting though, Yamato. So, yeah. Okay. We are almost at time. We're actually a little bit over, but are there any? Can I entertain for 11:10? I thought we would be done. You guys didn't volunteer as fast as I thought you would, to be honest. I thought there'd be more people who wanted to work on the pig. Oops. Can I entertain till 11:10 real fast?
I said a motion.
All right, I think second. Great. Any objections? Okay. Are there any, it's an open forum, invitation to interested members of the public to be heard on matters not included on the agenda?
Necessarily to start implementing.
Oh, okay. Anybody? Okay. Any announcements? All right. See, we didn't need all that. Oh, yes.
Tommy, one announcement. If you have a moment and would like to give Kealahele Makalai, the Coastal Path on Kauai, some recognition, USA Today is about to close voting on the best trails in America. We are currently in 9th place. I'd like to bolster that position. USA Today 10 best list for Kealahele Makalai. Voting closes on April 7. Thank you.
Is there a link that you can provide?
I just put it in the chat.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you, Michael. Yep.
Any other announcements? All right. And with that, we are adjourning at 11:08 a.m. Thank you, everybody. We got through a lot today. I really appreciate it. So stay tuned for
Thanks,
April.
everyone.
And more things to come. All right. Bye.
Bye.